In this film, Ziya Gökalp is at your age. Do you want to be friend with him? Friends, I am Ziya Gökalp. I'm a writer, sociologist and politician. I am known as the father of Turkish nationalism. I tried to contribute to our world of thought with the books I wrote. I was born in Diyarbakır in 1876. My father is Mehmet Tevfik Efendi, and my mother is Zeliha Hanım. I grew up in a respected family that held various government positions. We had a big library in our house with all kinds of books. I became a book lover at a very young age. My father was a free thinker, patriotic person devoted to the Islamic faith. His biggest goal was for me to get a modern Western education by adhering to Islam. Freedom and patriotism were inherited from my father. After graduating from primary school, I went to military school in Diyarbakır. Here, I understood better what the idea of freedom is. I was very successful in math class. I also loved the literature class. I was very interested in reading poetry. My uncle taught me Arabic and Persian. In this way, I had the opportunity to read great Islamic thinkers such as Ghazali, Avicenna, and Farabi. I was also reading Namık Kemal and was very impressed by his liberation ideas. I learned French in high school. In those years, French culture and thought greatly influenced Turkish youth. Influenced by this, I wrote poems about freedom and patriotism. During this period, I met Dr. Abdullah Cevdet. Abdullah Cevdet was one of the leading figures of the Young Turks. Under his influence, I began to take an interest in social and political issues. I went to Istanbul in 1896 with my brother Nihat and started the veterinary school. However, I spent most of my time dealing with the problems of the country. During this period, Ottoman Empire was losing territory and there was political turmoil. There were also great economic difficulties. In such an environment, I thought that the duty of intellectuals was to educate people and raise awareness. While I was a student in Istanbul, I met some like-minded people. Then I became a member of the Committee of Union and Progress. I thought that the changes that should be made for the progress of our country should be in accordance with the Turkish national thought. For this, I had to understand Turkish society well. I tried to develop my thoughts, which I will call Turkism in the future on a scientific basis. After years spent in Istanbul, I returned to Diyarbakır. I was in business for a while. Then I worked as a writer for a newspaper. During my time in Diyarbakır, I had the opportunity to read a lot. I also wrote articles on the economic problems of the villages. I went to Thessaloniki in 1909. Here, I gave sociology and philosophy lessons to the young people around me. At that time, Genç Kalemler magazine was important for our cultural life. This magazine advocated the removal of foreign words from Ottoman language. I also supported these studies. The creation of the Turkish national language was a necessity for our cultural development. In 1912, I settled in Istanbul once again and started working at Istanbul University. After that, I focused on Turkism in my thoughts and works. Those were the most productive years of my life. A few years later, I was offered the position of the Minister of National Education. However, I did not accept this assignment. Instead, I chose to stay at the university. While I was working at the university, I had some suggestions about our education system. My suggestions about the curriculum and the books to be taught were accepted. This is how the sociology course entered the Turkish education system. For this reason, I was seen as the founder of sociology in Turkey. I became a member of the Turkish Hearth, the center of Turkish nationalists in Istanbul. Soon, I was appointed as the editor-in-chief of the Türk Yurdu magazine. My articles in this journal were published in 1918 as a book called Turkification, Islamization, Become Contemporary. I also collected my articles in various magazines in the book Fundamentals of Turkism that was published in 1923. I have worked not only on political and scientific subjects, but also in the field of literature. I was sending my poems to some magazines. These poems were published as a book called Yeni Hayat. In my book titled Altın Işık, I included tales that I compiled from folk culture. In my articles, I tried to show who the Turkish nation is, where they came from, and where they should go. My works found an important place in Turkish intellectual life. Dear children, I hope my life story has piqued your interest. I believed in the importance of scientific studies in order to find solutions to the problems experienced by the Turkish nation. I have read and researched a lot for this. I suggest you work hard too. Thus, you can achieve things that will benefit your country and all people.